So I was sent a link for more questions for atheists. Hopefully this is not as much of a downer as the last video I did. Let's take a look.
See, the reason the atheist is dumb because his pride, his ego. He thinks he knows it all.
Well, I don't know it all. That's kind of the point. There are many things I don't know, but I try not to believe things I don't have evidence for. Now, no God has lived up to the standard of evidence, so I have no reason to believe in one. Anyway, driving while reading these questions, let's see what this Darwin Award attempter has to say. Well, yes, but singing along to Pat Benatar doesn't count. And besides, that video will never, ever be shown. Ever.
You're a real tough cookie with a long history of breaking little hearts like the one in me. Before I put another notch in my lipstick case, you better make sure you put me in my place. Hit me with your best shot. Fine, hit me with your best shot. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
Yeah, let's get on to the questions.
So let's go ahead and ask the questions. There's 10 questions that atheists can't answer. And he just don't have the capability. Who controls the alphabet? Number one, who controls the alphabet?
This is a serious question? Really? This is the kind of thing you're going to be asking? Am I being punked? Okay, I guess I did want something a bit more lighthearted than last week's episode. My own fault, I guess. Anyway, in for a penny and all that, guess I'm answering these questions.
Who controls the alphabet?
Who controls the alphabet? Nobody. It's an adopted convention that most people who share a similar language have taken. Any person can change the alphabet for their own personal use. If I wanted to, when alphabetizing things, I could say all the vowels come first. Or I could get rid of the letter K and use C in its place. The reason I don't is that would be confusing for anyone who doesn't know my system. And also for me, because the original has been ingrained in my mind. We have all adopted the same system and order because it makes communicating with others who use the same system easier.
Number two, why do all the babies in the whole world say Ma when they come out of the womb? The Russians, the Chinese, the Spanish, all of them say Ma, Ma when they come out of the womb.
Boobs. Oh, did you want more details? Alright. Linguist Roman Jacobson theorized that the first word babies make is ma because the M sound is simply the easiest sound to make because of the shape their mouths take when breastfeeding. We have latched on to that as the baby's call for its mother. Just one of the reasons breasts are such amazing things. Also, newborns can't say it out of the womb. It takes months for babies to begin to make those sounds.
Why do all the nations have to have a flag? Why do they all have flags? Number three is why do the nations have flags?
Flags started out as battle standards. Before Bluetooth and other communication devices, people had to use images in line of sight to see who was aligned with whom. A large, noticeable image helped people know who was on what side. As nationalism grew, countries developed specific flags to identify themselves, and the idea caught on. So, countries that didn't have their own flag developed their own to make themselves unique, just like everybody else.
Number four, why are all the stop signs red? Stop lights are red, stop signs are red. What's that about? The brake lights are red. What's that about?
Red has been found to be the color that stands out the most. This may be an evolutionary advantage due to our ancestors needing to both track wounded animals and to notice wounds on themselves and their companions. So, it would make sense to put on traffic signals that people need to notice the most. It is, in general, more important to stop a vehicle when needed than to keep going. So choosing a color that stands out makes red the most important choice for identifying times to stop.
Number five, how come you can only fold a sheet of paper 6 times and it'd be flat? Why is that?
This has to do with the increase in folding thickness. Yes, folding a piece of paper in half is a fairly simple process because paper is somewhat thin. But folding a piece of paper 7 times is not the same as folding 7 pieces of paper at once. When you're trying to fold a pre-folded piece of paper, the number of pieces of paper that need to be folded increases exponentially. So, when trying to make that 7th fold, instead of folding 7 pieces of paper, it would be the equivalent of folding 128 pieces. Additionally, as the working area of the paper gets much smaller, you have less surface area to apply pressure with. And paper has been folded more than 6 times. There have been people who've folded a length of paper 12 or even 13 times.
Number 6, why do you see black and white and red everywhere you look? Black, white, and red on almost everything. There's a red and a white, but you'll see black, white, and red all over the place. There's That sign over there, black, white, and red. You'll see it all over the place.
I see lots of colors everywhere I look. You see, when an object reflects all the wavelengths of light hitting it, it appears white. When it absorbs all the wavelengths, it will appear black. When it absorbs some, but reflects others, it will appear as the colors that are reflected. So, all things will have some aspect of black or white in them because some light will be reflected or absorbed. And red, as I mentioned, is the most noticeable color, so we notice that one more often than others. But really, I see many colors everywhere. In your video, I saw lots of colors. Or did you not notice the green grass, for example?
They can't answer that.
Just did.
Why does the seed have to die to give new life? So why do the seeds have to go in the ground and die before it gives new life? From grass, from trees to plant, whatever. Why does the seed have to die? A watermelon? Whatever.
It doesn't. The seed is simply part of the plant that is responsible for reproduction. It doesn't die per se, but is a continuation of the original plant as a new organism. The seed itself is not alive, but can become alive under the right conditions.
Number 8 is, why are all the cartoon monsters green and blue? Why are all the monsters in cartoons green and blue?
Not always. When I think of cartoon monsters, the first thing that pops into my head is this. And it's definitely not green or blue. Of course, I get most of my worldview from Bugs Bunny cartoons. When my sister-in-law played the Marriage of Figaro for my nephew to calm him down, my brain, of course, immediately jumped to the Rabbit of Seville version. Yeah, I got class. But to your point, and this is just conjecture on my part, but I would gather that greens and blues are dark colors, good for hiding in shadows. So, cartoons would use those for creatures like monsters that sneak up on people.
Number 9. Why does GE Corporation pretty much say what the same thing the book of Genesis says? GE, we bring good things to life. And the book of Genesis is about bringing things to life. Why does GE talk about lighting and bringing things to life with the letters GE, and you see that Genesis starts with GE?
Coincidence? Most companies have corporate slogans to distinguish themselves. Does that mean McDonald's slogan, "I'm loving it," is a reference to John 4:8? No. It's catchy and conveys an image that the company is trying to promote that happens to coincide with the passage from your Bible. GE stands for General Electric because they generally make devices that run on electricity. They say they bring things to life because these power devices have some kind of movement and human-given purpose. It has nothing to do with your book of myths. Oddly enough, they did make a train called Genesis, but that was in the 1990s, long after the slogan and even the name General Electric came about. If you stretch it, you could make an argument that maybe the copywriters try to connect it to the Bible, but that doesn't mean the Bible is true, just that it's a popular book that the advertising execs use for their branding.
Number 10, why is the seed within itself? Just like I said, the watermelon seed has to die, it sprouts new life, and there's a multitude of seeds in a watermelon. Put one seed in the ground, a watermelon sprouts, you get 100 seeds out of a watermelon, or 20, or whatever. Number 10, why is the seed within the seed? Why is the seed within itself?
Seeds, as I mentioned before, are part of the reproductive cycle of some plants. When a plant grows, it also grows new seeds to create more offspring. Fruits will have multiple seeds, because more seeds means more chance of a plant will have offspring, giving it a chance to outbreed its competition. Organisms that don't care for the young always produce a lot of offspring, eggs, seeds, etc. Young plants don't need to be nurtured by their parents, so there is nothing holding plants back from trying to reproduce as much as possible, hence many seeds being distributed by their parents.
10 questions the atheist is afraid of and too dumb to answer.
So, there we go. I answered 10 questions that apparently I'm too dumb to answer. If anything else, I was dumb enough to continue this line of questioning. As always, I'm open for more, so if you come across anything, or have questions of your own, please send them to me.
Hit me with your best shot. Come on, hit me with your best shot. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
Seriously, was this some kind of joke? This guy actually think this would cause people to believe in some kind of supreme being? Really?